Hey, I'm at the cemetery, one of my favorite places to ground. I've been coming here every single day, and I'm sitting here and I just feel really inspired to share a little bit about my transformation and my healing journey and the things that have supported me, because it's been such a big journey and I'm on the other end of it. Like, I'm coming out the other end, and I'm in a place now where I believe more and more in my transformation and my healing. And that was definitely a process. I definitely didn't believe that it was possible for me in the beginning. And I feel like a lot of people are struggling physically with different types of chronic health issues, chronic pain, depression, anxiety. And I feel like a lot of people don't have hope or don't believe that it's possible for them. And so that's why I share my story. It's very vulnerable, and I've shared my journey from the very beginning. And I think it's important that we share our stories, because no one else is telling us out there what's possible except for the people who are doing it. And so, for me, like, my journey with chronic pain and chronic inflammation started at the age of 14. And that was a very scary time for me, because my whole life turned upside down. All of a sudden, I couldn't walk. I had so much swelling in my knees. And I went through my whole developmental years and early adulthood not really knowing what I have, being told I have rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. I was always under some kind of umbrella term, but I had all these other symptoms, these other chronic pain symptoms that really wasn't being addressed, and I was gaslit so much by the medical world, and I was put on so many medications at the early age of 14, 10 medications to be exact, that created so much harm to my body long term, so much addiction, so much destabilization, and along my journey, I had to find ways to support myself. And one of the ways that I started supporting myself was through mobility, flexibility, like stretching my body. And I just, developed this routine where I would stretch. And this was around 18. So it was 4 years after my quote unquote misdiagnosis. And I started stretching around age 18, and I said, I don't really want to be immobile anymore. I don't want to have all this rigidity in my body. I want to be free. And so I started stretching every day for 4 hours, and I did that with breath work. And I didn't know at the time, but I was doing PNF stretching along with breath work and working with my nervous system so that I can actually push through the pain, because just manipulating your joints at all when it's as swollen as mine was incredibly painful. So I had to find a way to kind of work with the nervous system so that I can move through that level of pain. And it just kind of snowballed into me becoming a contortionist. And that's kind of a crazy thing to say, that I had or have chronic arthritis, chronic inflammation, and I'm also a contortionist. And I taught myself everything that I know, from hand balancing, aerial, contortion, and all these other circus tricks. And I started performing as a circus performer, freelance, in Toronto. And that was my first approach of doing something alternative outside of the medical world to see, if it would work for me. And it did. It really did make a huge difference. And I know today for a fact now at age 34 that if I didn't do this, if contortion wasn't my practice, I would be in a wheelchair today. I would have significant damage to my joints, and I don't. How do I not have any damage to my joints after severe chronic inflammation and an infection that is eating away at my joints all throughout my body? How do I not have any damage? And I really believe that I really believe that circus and movement saved me, and that's why I want to share this with the world. This is what I offer, one of my offerings. But after circus, I was still like having flare-ups, and I could only manage it so far with flexibility. And that's when I started to radically shift my belief around food, that food is medicine. And for me, that was radical because I was a junk food eater, and for 20 years of my life, like, no doctors told me about food. They didn't tell me, they never asked me, like, what are you eating on the regular? What could be contributing to these inflammation, these flare-ups? And I was on like 10 medications, and that was normal for me. So for me to turn to food and start looking at my gut health and start looking at how I'm nourishing my body, and even start considering the food that I'm eating, has it grown from regenerative soil? Does it have glyphosate? Does it have GMO in it? Like, I started to really educate myself, and I completely radically shifted not just my belief around this, but how I actually nourish my body. And now, I do all sorts of things to support my body. And not only does it support flare-ups or like chronic pain or chronic illness, but it really supports me post-recovery when I'm doing any kind of like circus things, right? Like my recovery time is very fast. And when I supported my gut health and started giving my body the food that it really needs, I started to see healing in my body. And at first it was really difficult for me to believe this and accept it, because I was coming from a world of allopathic medicine and medications, and always having my body controlled and suppressed by things like prednisone and painkillers. So when I started to see that there was healing happening from food, I couldn't stop there, and I really turned it into a lifestyle shift for myself. The way I look at food, the way I look at water quality is very, very different now. And this whole journey has really taught me that anything is possible if we believe it, And there was a time where I did not believe that food was medicine. There was a time that I did not believe that movement was even possible for me. Flexibility. Forget about being a circus performer. Like, just walking. I didn't think that I could have a life like that. Yeah. And very recently, I discovered that I have mold toxicity. And so I went through all these years being gaslit, being told that, it's all in my head. It's just depression and anxiety. All your tests are fine. And it's been such a journey discovering the root cause of everything going on. And I'm always finding like pieces of the puzzle. But really, to sum it up, I've had many things in my body, in my life, that I've been exposed to that have prevented my immune system from working at its full capacity, and that have really affected my nervous system. And because my nervous system has been so impacted, it has prevented my body from doing what it is designed to do at its full capacity. And I really transitioned from the place of trying to fix myself, seeing myself as broken, to now understanding that I was never broken. I just had roadblocks in the way, and I had coping tools, coping mechanisms that weren't working for me anymore. So I've discovered that I've had mold toxicity. I really unraveled the root of this arthritis, which is a viral infection. Understanding that my immune system has been suppressed since I was 14 because I've been on prednisone for 20 years. So now that I've gone through the steroid withdrawal for 2 years and I'm clean of prednisone and cortisone, it's giving my body, my immune system and my nervous system the space to actually breathe, and when it sees infection in my body, to deal with it on its own, rather than being suppressed, rather than draining my knees and injecting me with cortisone. These were such invasive treatments I've had to go through my whole life, And yeah, you know, like moving these roadblocks out of the way. And right now my journey has just been really supporting my nervous system, grounding a lot, hydrating a lot, feeding my body, nourishing my body with really incredible nutrients, whole foods, organic superfoods, giving my gut health the right treatment, you know, supporting my gut health. That's been everything for me. And you know, when I was able to support my gut health and I gave myself the nutrients that I needed, I had more clarity. I had less C-reactive protein inflammation in my body. And from that place of less inflammation, less survival mode, less chronic pain, I was actually able to see what was really going on and know what I need to do next, and actually listen to my intuition more. And then I radically shifted my life and I slowed down. I stopped doing all the things that were creating stress, that were putting me in fight or flight, and I really had to sit with all the trauma that was there, all of the trauma that was suppressed, and that was sitting in my body. So it's been a lot of radical shifting. It's been a lot of rewiring my thoughts and my beliefs, brain retraining, nervous system regulation, trauma release, trauma healing, proper nutrition, lots of rest. That I had resistance to rest quite a bit. And, you know, gentle exercise. As a circus performer, it was normal for me to push myself to my limits. I could train as much as 4 to 6 hours a day, every day for 6 days a week. And, you know, coming into more balance in my training and really seeing results. And last summer, I spent almost the whole summer on crutches, and a good chunk of it bedbound. And it was really scary for me. I didn't know when I would walk again or if I would walk again. And I had lost so much hope and faith. You know, like I'd even gone to Texas to do surgery to get out biotoxins from my body. And after that surgery, things got worse before they got better. And what I know now that I didn't know then was I was going through a major detox. And this detox and transformation that I went through took a whole year to settle. And I needed so much faith during that time. I definitely lost hope a few times. And I'm really fortunate that I had family there to support me and carry me through all of it, because that was really a hard time for me. And now I'm on the other end, you know, and it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see everything in hindsight for what it really was, that I was healing, even though I was going through so much chronic pain and immobility and being bedbound and, you know, having to put my businesses to rest and not being able to go out and see friends and do what everyone else is doing at this age, you know. I see now that I was actually healing. And at that time last year, when my hair was falling out and when my body was just going through the motions, I really thought that I'd made a mistake. I really thought that getting off these medications was a mistake. I thought that going to get surgery in Texas was a mistake. I thought that this whole journey of trying to unravel and uncover the root cause of my illness was a mistake. I wanted to bury my head back in the soil and just forget about all of it, but I had gone too far in my journey to turn back. There really is a point of no return, and that's where I was last year, and it was so scary. But now I see that all this time I was healing, all of this time I was detoxing, and it's such a process, and healing and detoxing doesn't have to be intense, but it was for me. It was for me. So now I'm doing these gentle protocols to help me detox mold, which is a big thing. I'm using restructured water to really nourish and hydrate my cells. I'm using red light therapy, Rife machine, ozone therapy. Purium Superfoods has been transformative. For 5 years, I've been living this lifestyle and nourishing my body with the most potent superfoods I've ever come across. And it's just been really transformative for my body and my gut health. So this is why I'm sharing it. This is why I'm talking about it, because I know that there are so many people out there who are going through the same thing, going through chronic health and chronic pain and struggling with an invisible disease, and you're not getting answers, you're not getting support, and Western medicine is failing you. And so I've made it my mission to take all the tools that have been helping me and share them here on this platform. And if you have any questions about any of the protocols or the superfoods or sound healing, or how my mobility and flexibility classes can support you, I'd love to talk about it more, because I've really been able to rehabilitate my body. I'm walking now without crutches. I'm exercising 5 times a week. My mental health is finally balanced and stable, which is really amazing. And it's been so long since I've been able to say that. It's been so long. And just being able to take myself here to the cemetery, and support myself physically, walk here. I am wearing my knee braces, but I am walking, and I'm able to get 10,000 steps now. So it's really cool. It's really exciting, and I'm so grateful. And I think just all of these tools have been incredible in supporting me, but they didn't heal me. The most important message I want to get across is what healed me was my own body. It was my own nervous system. And everything I used along the way were incredible tools to support my body in doing what it's meant to do, which is heal, which is recover, which is restore, balance and harmony. That's what the body's meant to do. And so that's my transformation story in a nutshell. There's so much more to it, and this is just the beginning of my transformation. I'd say if this were a book, I'd be in the middle right now. Not quite yet where I want to be, but not where I was. And the thing that really, really got me to this point was believing that healing is possible for me. And I believe it now more than I have before. I definitely still have days where I question, days where I'm struggling with symptoms. Sometimes I lose a bit of hope and faith, but I would say that I'm integrating this belief, and I'm holding this truth in me more and more today than I ever have. And I think that is the most important thing for anybody who wants to heal, is to be curious. What if I can heal? What if it is possible for me? And if it were possible, what are the ways that could really support me to heal? And if you don't think you can heal, then you're not going to ask those questions, and you're not going to open those doors. So yeah, I just wanted to come on here and share this today, and thanks for tuning in, guys. Have an amazing Saturday.